friends, welcome to another Wolverine video. Today I'm going to show you how to make the bath bombs that are included in my May subscription box for grounding. So what you're going to need to make these bath bombs is a bowl to mix the ingredients into, some kind of oil, a quarter cup of oil of your choosing. I used castor oil, but you could use melted coconut oil, you could use olive oil, you could use apricot oil, really any oil that you're comfortable with. And then you'll need baking soda, citric acid, you're going to need a little bit of water, you're going to need some cornstarch and some Epsom salts. And then of course you're going to need essential oils of your choosing if you want to make them scented. I also added some rose petals to mine just because they add a really nice energetic layer to the bath bombs, and then they also are just pretty. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section down below. I will link my Etsy shop to the grounding subscription box for May down below. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about, substitutions or ingredients. I will go ahead and also put the recipe in the comments or in the description box below so that you can see ahead of time everything that you need. You'll need a cookie sheet and some parchment paper so that you can let your bath bombs dry, and you'll need a bath bomb mold. You can just make them by hand. If you're just making for yourself, this is perfectly acceptable. I'm making them for customers, so I use a mold. But yeah, any way you want to make them is fine. You can, let the kids make them with their hands because that's always really fun too. You can add coloring. I would recommend, food safe dye just because it is going to be in your bath, on your skin. It's going to get absorbed, so you want it to be something that's not going to do you any harm. Without further ado, we'll get right into this video. Okay friends, so here I have all of my ingredients measured out. I did this ahead of time so I wouldn't make a big mess on camera. And I will go through and tell you what everything is before we get into mixing our ingredients. So here I have a half a cup of cornstarch. I use non-GMO cornstarch. And then I have a quarter cup of Epsom salts. I have 1 cup of baking soda, half a cup of citric acid, and then I have 2 ounces or a quarter cup of castor oil. Again, you can use whatever kind of oil you want to for this. I just really like castor oil because it's very skin nourishing. And then I'm going to add to my castor oil my essential oils. I chose sandalwood, frankincense, and vetiver. And I'm going to do 6 drops of frankincense, 5 drops of sandalwood, and 2 drops of vetiver. I also have my bath bomb mold. It has these cool little plates in it that you can change, and a bowl for mixing all of the ingredients into. You will also need a cookie sheet with parchment paper so that you can dry your bath bombs when you're done making them. I realized I forgot to mention that the small little bowl in the middle here just has about 2 tablespoons of water. We will not use that much water. It's just more convenient than a spray bottle, in my opinion. So I'm just adding my essential oils to the castor oil, and then once I have my desired oils in there, I will start adding all of the dry ingredients to the bowl and blending those with a spatula. This is going to take a minute because vetiver is notoriously slow at coming out of the bottle. It does not like to flow freely. It's an oleoresin, so it's a very thick essential oil, kind of tarry looking, but oh my goodness, does it smell amazing. So we'll just sit here and wait patiently for it to drip, and then once it is in there, we will start mixing our dry ingredients together. Woohoo, we have one drop. Now we'll wait another 20 minutes for the second drop to hit the oil. I mean, as you can see, it's very thick. I decided not to speed up this part because I wanted you to see just how slow vetiver comes out. And this is with most oleoresin essential oils. I also have vanilla oleoresin, and it drips about the same rate. You just really have to have patience with it. A small bottle will last you a really long time because it's very concentrated, but you do pay for that with drip speed, I suppose. So I have all of my oils in the castor oil. I'm going to start adding my dry ingredients to the bowl. I'm just going to set this aside. And I'm going to start putting all of our dry ingredients into this bowl. Now be very careful when you're using the citric acid not to get it in your nose, eyes, mouth. It is an acid. It will irritate your mucous membranes, and it does burn your eyes like orange juice would. So the first thing that I added was the baking soda, and then to that I'm going to add the citric acid because they kind of balance each other out a little bit. And then I'm going to add in the cornstarch and the Epsom salt. And then we're going to blend that very well. We want that as incorporated as it can possibly get. We want the closest thing to a homogeneous mixture as is possible. So I will just stir all this together. I'm going to move this water out of my way so you guys can watch me stir. Now you might notice some clouds of dust coming at you, and that's fine. Just don't put your face directly over the bowl and you shouldn't have any issues. If you feel the need to, or if you're doing this with children, you can absolutely wear protective eye goggles. I haven't had any issues with it as far as getting it in my eyes or nose or anything. But, because you are using an acid, especially if you're doing this with children, it's always a good idea to take safety precautions. So I'm just mixing it all together, and then once it's incorporated, I will add the oil. So I'm just kind of stirring in the essential oils before I add the castor oil. And then you want to make sure you get as much of the oil out of the cup and into the bath bomb mixture as possible, because this is going to help it stick together, but it's also what's going to moisturize your skin when you put the bath bomb into your bath, or if you use it as a shower melt, it will also help kind of incorporate those essential oils into the mixture so that you get a nice consistent stream of scent instead of just like a big punch in the face of smell. So you want to incorporate this until it resembles kind of like wet sand, where it sort of clumps together. The idea is you want to coat as much of the powder with oil as possible so that it no longer is dusty, and also to protect the citric acid from the water that we're about to add as a binder. Once you've stirred in the oil using the spatula as well as you can kind of use your hand to finish incorporating, and just remember that you're coating as much of the powder with the oil as possible. And then once it starts to resemble sort of like a crummy mixture, we're going to add little splashes of water. And the way that I do it is I just dip my fingers. You'll see here in a minute, I just dip my fingers in the water and kind of splash it in there. Because I found that if you use a spray bottle, then you have more areas of reactivity with that citric acid. But it really doesn't matter how you do it. We added enough citric acid to this that even if some of it does get activated before we're in bath bomb form, you're still going to have a really nice fizzy bath bomb. So I just take a little bit of this super scientific method, a little bit of this water, and flick it into the bowl and then incorporate it. You're going to add just enough water so that the ingredients start to bind together. So that when you pick it up and squeeze it, it holds its form. You don't want to add too much water, again, because you will end up deactivating a lot of this citric acid, because it will have reacted before you even get to the bath. So I'm just going to keep splashing a little bit more water in here, and then when it starts to bind, and you'll see that here in a moment, when it starts to bind, we will stop adding water, and then we'll break out our rose petals and our mold to make the bath bombs with. So as you can see, it's starting to bind together and hold together. And this is what we want to see when we're ready to add any extras. Like I'm going to add some rose petals. I'm just going to do a little bit of extra water to be extra sure. But if you wanted to add any extras, now's the time to do it. You could do lavender flowers, you could do calendula petals, you could do, any kind of mica colorant or glitter if you were so inclined. Now would be the time to add those things. And then once all the water is incorporated, we will get our cookie sheet out. This parchment paper is a little dirty because I reuse it for bath bombs. There's no reason to waste perfectly good parchment paper because it's had something on it if you're not using it for food. So I just reuse my bath bomb parchment paper. We're going to fill the mold. I actually only fill this mold about halfway because I have found if you make a full-sized bath bomb with this mold, you end up kind of greasy. So you fill it about halfway and you kind of use your palm to pack it, and then you set it onto the cookie sheet. But first I'm going to add some organic rose petals, and I'm just going to crumble them up so that they're easier to incorporate into the mixture. And I mean, they're really just because they're pretty, they smell nice, and I like the energy of roses. So I'm just taking a small handful and crumpling them into the mixture. And then I'll incorporate this, and then we'll add this mixture to the bath bomb mold and then leave them to dry on the parchment paper. If you don't have the same kind of bath bomb mold that I do, if you have the round molds or whatever, it's kind of the same process. You might want to use like a muffin tin instead if they're round to let them dry in. Mine are all going to be flat, so that's why a cookie sheet works for me. So we just fill up this mold about halfway using your palm to pack in the ingredients, and then you are going to put it on the cookie sheet. And then I really like to make sure it's packed in there. So I push down the plunger a little bit and pack it in with my palm, and then I put it on the cookie sheet, and then holding the whole thing down, I kind of pack it again before I lift and release. And then there you go. That's the first bath bomb. For some reason, I don't know why, the bath bomb mixture sometimes kind of sticks to the mold, so they don't come out as pretty as I would like them to. But honestly, it's just a cosmetic thing. It doesn't really matter. If it bothers you, you can redo it. I have seen some people oil their bath bomb molds and have had success with this. I'm going to try that a little bit later and show you that it doesn't really seem to matter with this type of bath bomb mold if you oil it or not. But that's the whole process. So now we've made bath bombs. I'm just going to keep packing the material and putting them on the cookie sheet until I run out of bath bomb mixture. So that's all there is to it. So these bath bombs are kind of sticking, which doesn't really bother me, but if it bothers you, you can try oiling your bath bomb mold. I'm just going to put like a drop of castor oil in the center of this one and then spread it around with my fingers. And then I'll do the same process as I was doing before. So I just changed the plate basically in my bath bomb mold, and then oiled it, put it back into the, I don't know what you would call this thing, the grip handle thing, and then continue on making bath bombs. And I have not noticed a significant difference with oiling, although I have heard some people use like cooking spray or Pam. Again, for me, it doesn't matter. Even though it's for customers, I know the bath bombs are quality. I'm not worried about a little bit of a cosmetic defect because everybody that buys from me knows that everything I make is handmade. So I think it just adds a little bit of character if it's not perfect every time. But I did try to show that when you oil the bath bomb mold, it doesn't necessarily work better. I have not tried making bath bomb molds with the round molds yet, so I might try that in the future and see if they come out better. But I like the flat ones because you can also use them as shower melts when they're flat instead of having them roll around on the floor of your shower. So again, just pressing down, kind of compacting it until I feel comfortable that it is well packed, and then a lift and release. And again, parts of it came off onto the mold plate, so it really didn't make a difference for me. Maybe I'm not doing it right. If If you see something that I'm doing wrong, you're more of a professional when it comes to bath bombs, please feel free to let me know, because I'm not sure why sometimes they stick. So there you have it. That's the bath bombs that I made for the May grounding box. I think they turned out really beautiful, and I will add a clip at the end here so you can see what they look like in the water. But that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I will respond to those as I am able. Yeah, don't forget, wash your hands, wear your masks, be kind to yourselves and each other, and remember that you are all precious, beloved, sacred beings, and I'm so very glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial. I am just going to go wash all this stuff, and then I will add a clip of a bath bomb in the water for you guys to enjoy. Bye. See you next time.